a lot of the classrooms there, in the past, sometimes the classroom's not as big as the class. I've seen this in other classes too, where you see the line of people standing up in the back, just like a church. Last people in church, what do? They stand in the back. The next last group are get the front pews. Everybody else seems to get the pews a little bit further back. Actually, my personal preference in class when I was a student there was always to sit in the front as much as possible so I could see more. Historically, in the old days, a whiteboard and chalkboard, more chalkboard, the outdoor seat was actually on the center, it's towards where Jack and Tate are. And the reason being is when the instructor writes, the body blocks the view from the left side of the class, and the right side of the class, you can see the hand. And I know historically, in teaching, when I've looked over grades versus student seating, it's really the rightmost chairs that do the best. My classes as opposed to the center. Yeah, there is a distribution of grades over the years and that sort of stuff. I looked over that too. Probably never heard that from any other instructor actually looking at, okay, what seat is the best seat? And measurement there is by grade. I look at a lot of numbers. Some of you always hear me talk about that sort of stuff. As an engineer, I worked as a design engineer for decades. Most design engineers don't last 10 years. Now, how did I hang in there for decades? More attention to detail, more attention to numbers, because really, if it's true, numbers should back it up. Something should back it up. Just like math we throw at you in equations, the Ohm's law, use that to back it up. If I turn on 120 volts, the motor winding is maybe 10 ohms or so, I should be able to get 12 amps. And if we get a significantly higher current or lower current, something is wrong. And it's a trip point to say what's going on. Statistically, when people look at problems on production lines, it's the failure rate that you look at initially that clues them saying something's wrong here. Of course, I used to supersede that last job I had, but so I used to walk the floor as an engineer at least twice a day, walk the production floor. As a habit, I always was in. Talk to all the technicians, ask them how things are going, and they'd show me, oh, we got a couple of these failed units over here, and I'd get me in on it. So I wouldn't jump the statistical thing. Something surprised most engineers don't pick up on. Valuable lesson for technicians. Get in the habit of walking. Walk around, talk to people, talk to operators, talk to anybody involved in something that you ultimately have to deal with. They'll be glad to tell you what the problems are. And you'll hear it first, and you'll be able to jump on it. Jumping on problems is longevity enhancing. Say that much. It's not, being an engineer, it's not because I was intelligent, bright, better engineer, really just the habits of just walking the floor, talking to people, listening to them, getting problems, and then start to work on that, being proactive. That was worth a lot. It kept me around for years, decades actually. Long when I should have been long as at the pasture and put out some car lots someplace selling cars, I was still able to keep engineering. And today, I can still be an engineer if I wish. I'm retired from it. And this is, you probably know by now, it's a retirement job for me. Just something to do. It's always something to do. Today you're in computer integrated manufacturing. This is probably one of the last classes we'll have in it. For industrial maintenance people, I think this is the last time. There might be one or two stragglers, but this is going to be about it. You notice the catalog has changed from 2024 catalog to not having industrial maintenance. For electronics people, I think it's kind of the same thing, but they're kind of the last stragglers on it. It used to be part of our Project Leadaway program here, and a lot of class material from that, dated back to that. I have since scrapped it because I'm not really a fan of Project Leadaway, even though I was a coordinator for it, as far as usefulness for us, so to speak. I prefer to teach something that's going to be more usefulness, I think will be. How much do you want to learn? That's a philosophical question. Do you want to learn a lot? Do you want to learn a little? How many want to learn a lot?
More than I need.
That's fine. That's a lot. How many want to learn a little? How many don't want to learn at all? Okay. How do you learn best? By doing. So if you're going to learn a lot, guess what the extrapolation of it is? You're going to do a lot. It's as simple as that. Yeah, I noticed the game I just played with you, and you're going to have an entire career of managers who will do that same game with you. So you learn to recognize it. That's exactly what managers do with people, to get buy-in, so to speak. You add leading questions, maybe. Get the respective answers and then extrapolate to them as to what the target delta they were going for in the first place. So today is going to be more of a just a course management thing, and we hop into things actually pretty quickly. Quicker than I'm leading on to. So on the course, a few things. On Blackboard, just a little note, I like to go straight to the course for everything about the course, including the calendar. I know the Enrollment Center teaches you to, initially, before hitting the courses, go straight to calendar, and guess what due you get? Today. What's due today? Nothing. What's due tomorrow? Nothing too. In fact, you do a lot of clicking to get to what you want. So I go to courses, Sim 131, and in here, the things you get, this is what's called a course content area. It's called content area. It's Blackboard terminology for this. We can make it come and go here. It's a good way, like a table of contents, to get to what you want. Course information syllabus. That syllabus actually gets you any syllabus you want to any course. Syllabus addendum is up here. It's a good guideline. In fact, I will bring this up. And a little bit of course, comprehensive review of total manufacturing operation, which is probably a better statement of it now. Prerequisites for this course. Used to have a lot more prerequisites for the course, but department chairs along the line have decided they don't like prerequisites and pitching. So basically it's ability to do math, ability to do reading, that sort of stuff. Having said that, and I don't have any required books. I'll give you the materials here, sufficient for doing the job. The course itself, we'll start off really with the lathe simulation. Basically for CNC, rather than have a machine here, I found it took a lot of time for the course, basically all lab time to sufficiently do a CNC project. Do simulations, which are pretty much immediate. And you see there's really 4 modules. Notice the AB PLC. What does AB stand for?
Allen Bradley.
Because in this area, most jobs are going to use Allen Bradley, not Siemens, I wanted to introduce Allen Bradley. The Siemens PLC is there, and towards the latter half, you can see up here, HMI work. It's an easy way to get HMI in. So that's really where I'm heading to with the Siemens. The CNC stuff, there's the text, happens to be on Blackboard. So that's why you don't have a required text for course. I really already put it on Blackboard. Let's read through it, it walks you through CNC, and ultimately you're going to have a couple of mill simulations to go through. One with G&M code, just like the lathe simulations, a very simple one for G&M code. The 2 simulations for the mill, the first one's G&M code again, an introduction to it, and the last one there is closer to the process you actually have, in which case it's remarkable how much the software does for you. But you'll get your name in old Gothic text, just like newspapers, and we carve out. In the past, they actually used that to use with the mill to actually have people do a block cut. But again, that took a little bit of time. Number of lines of code for that, in G&M terms, would be somewhere around 5,000 to 10,000 lines. But the software is going to do that for you, and that's really what you need to see there, is that G&M code, usually for mills, don't do a whole lot with it, surprisingly. If you do lathe work, it's simple enough that usually you do that in G&M. If it's CNC, you usually use a CAD generated system. From CAD to CAN, SolidWorks is a preferred way to go. Mastercam's another competitor. Inventor's a third one. If you work for Bridgestone, you'll probably see Inventor there, because I know that's not a best house. But usually you see Mastercam or SolidWorks. There's a few others out there too. And the Mech Lab is going to be the heart of the lab work we do in the class. That's the big thing there. In class, laboratory, individual work. Again, since you're going to do a lot, it's easier to do it individually. It always baffles me when people sit there and say they want to learn something and they pair off and get in groups. And I see one person maybe doing some of the work and people standing around with thumb up their butt, waiting for results to copy it down. And it's like, what are they learning? They're not doing, so they're not learning. And ultimately, the purpose of coming here is to learn enough to hold a job. Look at a piece of paper to get a job. In this market, they don't even bother with pre-employment testing anymore to see what you know. You just get hired. And eventually, they just shake your heads what you can do, can't do. And there is a day of reckoning in the end. Job market is excellent right now. It's the best way to say it. It's been excellent for 5 or 6 years, despite what the TV stations say. If you watch Fox News, they make you believe it's a bad economy. It's a fabulous economy out there. Look at the rest of the world. There's a recession. This country's not been in a recession. You know, Biden did have that correct. It's not because Biden's policies were great. This country's in fabulous shape. But like every pendulum, it swings. Tight jobs are coming. You haven't seen it yet. They'll be coming. When it's coming, the less skillful will be somewhere else. That's what it's coming. And it will happen. Has to happen. Things can't go gangbusters forever. Camelot ends. You know, that's the one there. Don't worry about it now. Your main thing is to get a job, and you'll get that pretty easily. Be productive. You know, you can get away with not being productive, but you're not going to get away for 60 years or so. You need to work for your retirement. And yeah, your retirement age is going to be in your 70s, not 60s. There'll be a struggle to get you used to that idea. You're not just you, but a lot of people, but it's in there. It's like Social Security right now. You know, a couple decades ago, retirement in Social Security was 65. Now it's 67 years old. It's going to work and be higher. That's got to happen because otherwise it wouldn't be Social Security. So your time period will probably be about 70, 71 or so. Yeah. Thanks. Productivity. Just some other things about the open lab, for instance. To reiterate that, safety glasses, closed-toed shoes, long pants. And that's going to be more enforced than it's been in the past, more heavily enforced. So, yeah, you come in with your sandals and such on like that, you're thrown out of here. Return back to the good old days. And my personal records of throwing people out, I was the first person to throw somebody out of the open lab. And I threw out the president of college out of the open lab. So, I'll check anybody. Other instructors are pretty much the same way. Mr. Manning's pretty good about chucking people out the door.
Yeah.
We all do it. It's and my recommendation on safety glasses is buy a cheap pair, throw them in your glove box of your truck. You know, you'll have other safety glasses too, but always have extra glasses. Chuck them in places you normally go to so that you're not caught. Gee, I wish I had safety glasses. You should be no further away than a truck's glove box. And more than one pair. They're cheap enough. You can buy them you can buy like $6 for $10 at Walmart. There's no reason not to spend a little bit of money, have some extra pair, just chuck it around. Let's see. For people with prescription glasses, and you wonder how you're going to get around the safety glass bit. Well, I brought up my 145 class online. You can get safety shields attached to sliding glasses. Most prescription glasses now are polycarbonate lenses. They're safety rated lenses. The problem is they don't have the coverage inside on there and a little bit over the top. So the way around that problem is to buy safety shields, and you'll get away with your prescription glasses. If you don't like the goggles, that's the way around it. For safety shields, you can buy them at a place like Walmart online there for, again, like $1.50, $3 for, you usually buy it. For $12 you get like 3-4 pair on there type of thing. Amazon sells them, Walmart sells them, a bunch of other people sell them. You'll find some shop that sells them like that. I haven't seen them locally in stores, but online it's pretty fast and easy. So, you Google safety shields for prescription glasses, that wording, and you'll see a pile of offers. All cheap offers, because on the side you don't need that much visibility. You just need some protection back there. On these glasses, for instance, there's no visibility inside, but it's all solid black plastic. I do recommend, as you get along to a lot of work, like you're working 8-hour days, safety glasses, you want to get a decent lens that you can see through without warping your vision too much. You don't get headaches, but also doesn't affect your sight later on in life, as far as focus. So I do have two really good pair. One I'm wearing now, but I also have another pair that's really good for that. And I have a cheaper pair too for the emergency. You've got to do something. So I've got all that. We do not take sunglasses. We've got to be clear lens here. The lighting in this room is for a warehouse, which is about 1/3 the lighting you'll find in a factory. So the lighting here is insufficient for work. Be blunt about it. It's insufficient. Couldn't run a production place here. Not without better lighting. So no colored lens, clear lens. That takes out the sunglasses. And of course, for prescription glasses, start thinking about getting safety shields on there or goggles or something. Let's see, covered that part of it there. Late work, just a 0. I know a little bit over a year ago, I had 76 submissions past the end of the semester, which is how they all got 0s. But the point being there is if I had to grade that, I would have had to put off graduation for the class for about a month, out of fairness. Which means, for instance, like we think we're going to graduate in May, it would have been in June. If I continued that sort of policy, of taking late assignments. That's the effect. It penalizes people that get your work done. Tell you what, at work, you don't get your work done, you won't be long for the place. They'll find other people do your work, so initially it doesn't look too bad, but they'll find a way to get rid of you eventually. Just lay off lists. That's the way they did the Flushing, saying, finally get that asshole out of here. A lot of that happens. Simple as that. So, in any case, you can read this. As far as the rest of this, it's not much. It's basically an assignment thing in this class. Grades and tools. For grades and tools, a couple things we'll go in here, and this works for every class of Blackboard you have. My grades is a way to look at assignments. I sort by due date, oldest first. Down here is a pile of assignments that scroll on and on and on. You can see here a dash. A dash means nothing's been submitted. If you see a number there, you've submitted, it's graded, that's your grade. And on Blackboard, they always tend to give us as points out of so many points total. So you can calculate the percentage yourself. You all know division, hopefully. Math 155 is the minimum is required in this class, so you've gone through the long division, so you know how to do that, supposedly. If you see a yellow face, you've submitted something that's waiting for me to grade. If you see a blue circle in there, it means you're working on it, but haven't officially submitted it. And of course, the line means nothing's been done. As you can see right now, I'm doing pretty poorly in this class. That's for grades, in case you're wondering, at any point, you're wondering what your grades are. This is an easy way to see them for this class. Every class should do the same thing. The other thing about grades and tools is calendar here. And the reason I like this calendar is now I can say, what's due for this course this month. Now, when you first pop it up, you'll find all your courses are on here, and they're all different colors. I've deselected that and always put on Sim. If I can put the rest of my courses on here, this view would have gone out there. You don't need to see that. You don't have that many courses. But for sim, you can see already, this week's pretty ghosty, but starting next week, you're going to start doing some work. Writing modules, and of course, usually you click, you get to it, do it. So that's the way of keeping track of things. So now you know you start to schedule yourself is when you need to get things done. And when you work, you'll see most of it's by the end of Thursday. Why Thursday? Late Friday is my day for grading. Again, late policy thing is once we get past Friday, I don't want to have to spread my grading over 2, 3, 4, 5 days. Nobody is an even grader, so it makes it hard to grade, to be fair. So I do it in one bunch. Just mechanics. Yeah, you'll find work, a lot of things is, how many of you work? Everybody has had these work. Usually it's more like that in some cases. You always find things you convenience your boss, it seems, right? A lot of it is, because basically that's how the company works. It goes all the way up the line and all the way down the line. And the person with the goal, makes the rules and all that sort of stuff. That's kind of the same thing here. This is democracy. The instructor gets 30 votes. So that's how you get due dates, and you can see a plan. You can do this for all your classes. I recommend this sort of review because you can plan. The problem with the calendar show and enrollment centers, it's hard to sit there and say, let's do it for the next 2 or 3 weeks. And it's a lot of clicking. Monthly views, you get to see everything. So you kind of make a better judgment. I think more quality judgment, easier, and get the things. Same thing, you click on this, it still takes you right to the test. If you're wondering where some of the support stuff is for this stuff, like for instance, Sim 131, CNC 1, I click, you would say go to this test. For me, it's edit the test, instructor versus student. It'll go to the same thing roughly, except you can see the actual test beginning here. Now if I hit cancel, just like you can hit cancel, this is where it's located. In fact, it's right down here, and I can see it's medicine chapters 1 and 2. That's for the CNC module, and that leads me into the course modules. I divided the course actually into 4 modules. Let me turn this back on. You can see that I actually have in this course 6 modules available, 2 of them I'm doing. We will do the Mech Lab. And I've actually got all that ready to go. That's good in-class work. The 3 that you see turned on are the ones you're going to do outside of this class. The Allen Bradley introduction, that just simply I need to get you into Allen Bradley. So when you switch over from Siemens here, and you're not working for MTU in this area, you'll probably work for a place that uses Allen Bradley a lot. MTU does use Siemens exclusively. German-run company, German PLC company, makes sense. Siemens is the #1 PLC company in the world. About 34% of the market, 35%, but they are European-based. So basically any European based company is going to use Siemens. Allen Bradley is kind of #2, about 28%, but they seem to have a lot of the large corporations in North America use Allen Bradley a lot, which is what you see over here. Mitsubishi is #3, mainly used in Southeast Asia. Even though Bridgestone's a Japanese company, there's still more Allen Bradley in there. That was really important. Bridgestone buying Firestone up, and the carryovers from Firestone. That's why it's Allen Bradley as opposed to Mitsubishi. Inside these modules, in this case of PLC, it's just a bunch of assignments. This is pretty easy. It's a work through of the beginning, just like the Siemens was a work through at the beginning. It's pretty self-explanatory. Chug through it. It's a good introduction to see the differences between Allen Bradley software and Siemens software. From a PLC standpoint, usually Allen Bradley is a little nicer hardware, but the software is kind of more clunkier to use. Now for the Allen Bradley stuff, this is done in the open lab, Bay 1 area, where we keep the 3 Allen Bradley trainers. Almost all of you have been through PLC trainers. That's the Siemens ones here, 8 of them. There are a bunch of Allen Bradley ones, but the 3 operational stands are over Bay 1. So you walk in bay one, see a trainer, that's the PC to use. I haven't gotten ISM to turn on more PCs for me. I don't see Steve everything for this place, so that's the limit they've given me, so that's what I have. Let's see, second module. I'll get around to PLC. This one again, just PLCs, you know the stuff. A little bit of a warm up, and this is a little bit more warm up too. Get back into things, but then we get right into function block, how to generate that. A little bit of a process statistic report. Just want to have that in there. HMI screen is really what I'm looking into, and the HMI screen is pretty simple. It's going to be how you download one into the PLC, actually not the PLC, the HMI itself. Then how to navigate through several screens, and then finally the communication with the PLC, talk back and forth, because ultimately that's what it's really doing. And you have the control and display. The control is the buttons, and display of analog data could be numbers, could be graphs, that sort of thing. So you get to see how it's done, where it's done. Tag names are the big talk through of calling names. And that's what we call addresses, so to speak, is tags, is PLC talk. Pretty self-explanatory again. Now, on all the PLC work, I don't really need an instructor sign off on any, I don't need an instructor sign off on any of the stuff. So again, whenever you get a chance to get in the building, that's good enough. Just go ahead and work at it. So that should not be a problem in that respect. Course modules, CNC. CNC is all simulation and quizzes. Maths and text. This is actually surprisingly enough, a pretty good book on Introduction to G&M Code for CNCs. It is a Project Lead the Way book, but it's one of the few things that Project Lead the Way actually liked. We used to use this text for Machine Tools Tech 250. I'm not sure what we use now for it. That's something that Mrs. Stribling, but I find it's very good. Again, pretty much self-evident. Fairly easy to read and pick up from as far as G&M code. So that's the textbook for this. The quizzes, you can see the references in the chapters. That's for that. References for CNC coding, a collection of reference material. That's on here also. A variety of PowerPoints. This top 5G is actually a pretty good PowerPoint. It's pretty quick, surprisingly quick. And these are some more G&M and CNC. Fundamentals of machining, more based on Haas. A very common controller out there. Also, if you have mills out there with just controllers, they tend to be based on the same code. So it's not just CNC work itself, but you've got basically here the 3 courses that Haas uses for lathe, their basics, and also Autodesk has a large course on CNC machining, and that's their book for training people. Code examples of things like tool compensation are lastly, in course modules, the Mech Lab stuff, and this is going to be involving, basically, I'm going to set up a small production area over there. You see some white boxes over there that will soon become equipment. We have larger examples in Bay 4, which I've been working on trying to get resurrected back up and finding other people's mistakes, so to speak. But that doesn't stop me from getting things done. And later on in the course, I'll probably hand walk you through some of that stuff, at least so you can see a larger model of a production line and what's involved with it. You're going to be working yourself on a smaller version around those stands. That's going to be predominantly what you'll be doing in this class as far as in the class stuff. Really very little instruction. It's going to be, let's get the stuff going. Now involved with that is going to be what's all that computer control and how does it work and such on like that. You'll see that. In fact, you'll do it, so that's how you'll see it. It's simple as that. So there's a lot of do class here because it's like you tell me that's what you learn, so that's what you do. Actually, it's a little fun. The past I've done this, most of us gonna like doing this. It's actually a fun course, despite the odor of the teaching. As I always said, it's one person meter to me, that's my successor. Any questions on this part so far? The administrative. And lastly, in this course, how things get done around here is I've taken users and groups I've split this into 4 groups because really it's just too many people for the equipment we have. So basically what it comes down to is you're either a morning or afternoon group, and it's either odd numbered week or the even numbered week is the best way to look at it as far as attendance. And I'll just go through these 4 groups quickly. The Tuesday morning group, first group itself. And these people will be here next week in the morning, 5 of you. James Arnold, Key Henderson, Jack McSpadden, Dawson Raymer, and Tate Shackelford. So, basically 9 to noon. That's the way you think of this. Next Tuesday morning. Meet here. You should all be able to see the groups incidentally. Group 2 is the afternoon group next week. 4 people, Dylan Berry, Landon Bice, Cole Childers, and Andrew Tozier. So, afternoon, next week. If you haven't been named, of course, that's because you're in one of the other groups, which is not next week, but the week after. That morning group, 5 people again, Brendan Ayers, let's see Brandon today. Charles Hutto, which you finally see, welcome back. Avery, finally meet you again. Jackson, and Brendan Usher. So, that'll be, again, you see the dates here, meets 9 to noon. Not next week, but the week after. And last group is afternoon, 2 weeks from now, 4 people, Clyde Best, Ignacio Elvira, Sam Patton, and Jack Riddle. So, the group you're in, come here, meet, and we'll just go over that time period's lab, as far as mech lab. That's a good explanation. Okay, how does the production line work as far as the control part of it there, how do computers interface into it, what's the logic behind it? And what we'll be doing is, first of all, identifying the hardware, what it does, process through it, and of course, programming the computer in a couple different ways of how to control this. In a bit, it's going to be a PLC type interface, a simulation of a PLC actually built on a computer. Give it a nicer interface for programming. And it'll be done 2 ways. One is your typical ladder logic and function block logic, and the other one is going to be using sequence function charts. I haven't talked about, I think some of you have seen function charts that work, wonder what they are, how they work, so we're going to learn that too, because it's a good way to go through a sequence and describe it. That's really what sequence function charts are written about. This version is built around GraphSet, which is kind of universal standard for it. I know Siemens does a modification of that for themselves, which I think is a little bit redundant and excessive, but that's Siemens. But we'll be using the more classical GraphSet, which everybody pretty much follows. And it's a way to describe a sequence. One of the things you have to do when you get on a line there is, okay, what is this production line doing? See that over and over and over again as far as, okay, you're supposed to fix the line. Well, how does the line work? Just like things like even bottled Coke, the bottle process, the Coke's made. How do you bottle it? Well, you have to have a bottle. You get a bottle, put it someplace. You've got Coke. It pours in. Coke's way, when you get enough Coke, not too much, not too little. People pay for 12 ounces, they want 12 ounces. Bottle cap gotten, bottle cap put on, crimped on, to seal it up, pulls away, the bottle moves off to be put in the box. The case is full, stop, change out the boxes. So that doesn't sound all that, when put that way, there's a few steps there, isn't there? And that's what we have to think about when we have a production line, is what has to occur first. If there's not enough bottles in the box, what's the fault of it? Well, it could be any step on the way, just like building a bookcase in Walmart. You screw around somewhere at step 2 or 3, it may be step 6 when you discover, oops, this isn't working. Anybody do something like a puzzle online, like a Sudoku or crossword puzzles? And you work on the puzzle and you get all there, and towards the end, all of a sudden you realize it's impossible. Like Sudoku is great for this. You sit there and say, I need to put a 9 in this row, but it's blocked. That means somehow you put the wrong number in some block so many steps ago. That's why I have a restart button on these things. That's the same sort of thing in a process, in a sense, is that every step matters. And when you get to computer integrated manufacturing, the things that will come out specifically with computers, it really does automate the process, because through automation, computers are more repeatable than people are. They're not as smart as people. They're programmed to do things by people, but they're more repeatable. But in processing, it makes it easier for us to do things such as enforce a process, keep a sequence in line, check stats, give a display, what's the status of things, and also the status, not only the immediate status of the bottle is here, but also how many bottles we've done, and we look later on and say how many bottles we did today versus how many of this, that, or the other, how many we failed out of how many good, how much did it cost, all that is computerized and numbers that people look at and say, what are we really running here? Many times in business, you get people that open up a shop, store, they have sales, and they go out of business. And why? It's because somehow the revenues didn't cover the costs of everything. And why didn't it? Well, if they're sloppy about keeping track of everything, they don't know. And that's a real problem. How do you know if you're profitable or not? You don't keep track of things. It's like paying taxes. How many of you have paid taxes at some point? Yeah.
Here we you.
I don't care whether you follow it or not, or whether your parents did it for you or you did it yourself. But you have to keep track somehow of what you made so you can calculate what taxes you need to pay. Now, it probably took standard deductions. You don't really have to keep track of that necessarily. But you have to keep track of how much money you made, because there are computer records of that so that the IRS can actually calculate it for you. And they may check, they may not. That's a case of record keeping. Now, it's nice when it's automated for you. And, rather than have to keep track every week you get paid in a logger book, you rely upon something called a W-2 or a 1099 form if you're contracting. And that's a record of what you've got paid, what you've paid already in taxes, your Social Security tax, your Medicare tax, Medicaid tax. So that later on in life, when you retire on Social Security, that money counts as far as your retirement Social Security. So you'll get some of that money back. You'll get that money back eventually. But you have to have a record of it. And that's the way you keep track of things. That's kept track. That's all computerized. So you don't have to sit there and write a ledger book every week for all the stuff that came out. A lot of it's done for you. That's kind of nice. Same thing I was saying in manufacturing processes. A lot of it's computerized, works nicely. Is the future to me? PLCs, bye-bye, and more PCs. I mean, I'm more used to working with PCs in factories and PLCs, because frankly, I can do a lot more with a computer. A lot more processor power. I will say on PLCs, the input-output modules are wonderful. Love them. They're nice and hardy. I can run motors against them. Industrialized power lines, which have a lot of noise and spikes. Not have to worry about them, which computers are terrible for. But I do like for the central processor, I like that a little bit more power, because I like to do a lot more with it myself. But having said that, PLCs are going to be around for decades. It's kind of like DC motors. I mean, I remember a couple decades ago, people saying, no, DC motors will no longer be on the floor. But DC motors are going to be around for more decades. You'll be retired before DC motors are out. Simple as that. They're just too useful. And same thing with PLCs. They're going to be around forever. And a lot of programming, if we look at PLCs, will definitely be around. It's just too handy to do ladder logic. Well, any questions on how the class runs? Anything else? So, nothing's due this week. It's due starting next week. His assignments tend to be Thursdays. But you know how to do a calendar view, use that for safe self-pacing. And go at it. And keep track of your group. On the group description, I try to keep track of the days on there. And times, like morning or afternoon. So morning group, you figure 9 to noon. Afternoon group, you figure 1 to 4 on Tuesday. And it's every other week, effectively.
So we're starting next week, doing the schedule?
Yes. So group 1. You know, actually, it's been a while since I've seen you with your hat on.
Oh, you got my head.
For some reason lately, it's amazing how much a hat throws a person off as far as recognizing people. It's like, man. You should show up more often to class.
Yeah, I hear you.
Going into it. So, next Tuesday, groups 1 and 2, morning, afternoon. Tuesday after that, groups 3 and 4, morning and afternoon. That's what I have for you today. Sam, hold on a little bit. I do want to cover